Good morning, everybody. This is Diggs. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest, and we are finally at the end of the limited unit era. Resnick, the first non-limited unit release that we've had in a very long time. We're going to go ahead and talk about her kit. I imagine most people are probably not going to be pulling for her, but she's still an interesting unit, and there are interesting GL-specific considerations that we do have to make with her. So let's go ahead and dig in. So Resnick is one of those units that she's a lightning element healer, and I think a lot of people kind of see Renan as like a lightning element support healer type of unit. He has, the capability to be offensive as well, but it's one of those situations where she literally has one job basically, and her one job is to heal and support the party. And she seems to do it pretty well, but is lightning in a position to really just have a single slot dedicated to healing and support? And that's kind of the question that I ask when I look at her, because, of course, Subcalculator is always going to be valuable, right? She has access to Subcalculator, she has access to Sub Thief. She has a lot of good buffs. Her TMR is okay. She's definitely got some durability with her. But I think right now, with the current state of lightning, I think she may not be very powerful. But I really wonder when we get Thunder God Sid and when we get Lightning herself from Final Fantasy 13, if she won't be more powerful. The reason for that is a lot of times Lightning teams right now are running Cloud, and usually if Cloud gets hit, he's going to die. We have Esther, who is a huge change from JP, and Esther is really tanky. She can take a few hits, so a combination of Resnick and Esther could be very powerful, but that third slot is really kind of, are you going to put Charlotte there? So then your only damage is going to be Esther, so what are you going to do if you're not able to deal enough damage to the opponent? So I really think Resnick is a unit who is probably going to shine the most when we get another significant lightning brawler. Whether that's lightning in the future, I'm not quite sure how tanky lightning is going to be, or whether that's going to be potentially Thunder God Sid, where you maybe are running a formation with Thunder God Sid, Resnick, and Esther, and absolutely kind of dominating. So very interesting to see where Resnick goes in the future. And that's where I kind of think she's going to fit in just out the gate. But let's go ahead and take a look at her kit here, because she is a very unique unit. And if you're a newer player looking for a unit and you happen to pull her and you're looking for like a healing unit to support your kind of first PvE composition, she's going to be very good. She's a very good healing unit. Her mastery ability is going to have HP 10%, lightning attack 15 for lightning allies. She gets healing power up 10 for self, and this is going to be something that we see throughout her entire kit. She also gets magic up 10%. For those that don't know, magic directly affects the amount of healing that a character does. So it makes sense that she is focused on magic and healing power. Her TMR is actually pretty interesting and is one of those TMRs that it's not amazing, but I could see very niche uses for it because it increases all attack resistances by 10%. So there could absolutely be situations where, somebody's running this so that they could get a 100% immunity to a certain type of attack resistance. Very interesting. Do I think everybody should be leveling it? No, but definitely something interesting to consider. Taking a look at her stats, she does get a increased magic by 20% on her board. She doesn't have the best resistances, actually. She has 15% resistance to slash. She's 15% weak to pierce, 10% weak to striking. She's 5% weak to missile, and she has 5% weak to magic, and she has 5% resistance to missile. What I do think is interesting to consider, and again, we kind of talked about, she could probably be better later with like Thunder God Sid and with lightning. What's interesting is she does have confusion resistance. She also has poison and berserk resistance. So confusion resistance, one of the most important status resistances to have against Agrius. So very good that she does have that, particularly, as we are looking at Final Fantasy Tactics coming around the corner on the JP side, and will be coming on the global side. Could be very good if you are building like a lightning composition. Her primary kit is not the best for support units. She does have, of course, her solid mindset, which will increase defense 15, spirit 15, very classic for devout. Minwoo also has access to this. Area of effect resistance plus 15. You'll notice she has a moderate amount of area of effect resistance, and I think this is something we're actually seeing with the lightning element now. With her own VC coming out, it is going to give her AoE resistance as well. So she'll get 10 AoE resistance as well from this, which is going to be on top of this. So she'll have 25 AoE resistance. That's not counting any type of gear you might have equipped on her. The other thing you have to consider is Ibarra's VC. If you are looking at running a secondary VC on her, if you're running her with 2 melee units, Ibarra's VC does actually give AoE resistance as well. So she as a unit can quite easily be hitting, you know, 35, 40% AoE resistance without any gear. Is going to make her pretty powerful and pretty tanky at taking a couple of hits. So definitely factor that in. She has the standard calculator abilities. She does have the movement thief ability, which is a really big deal. So not only can she heal, she can also move, and she has increased agility. She also has the increased acquired AP from Thief passive as well. If you've seen my most recent raid video, Lightning also seems to have a lot of acquired AP in kind of the different sets and different units that are out there. And I really think Lightning is one of the few elements in the game that can survive without bells reasonably well, because the access of acquired AP that they have. So something to consider there as well. Definitely make her a little bit easier. In PvE, you might actually find yourself setting this in niche situations. Although I don't think her AP generation is going to be inherently problematic since she's a healer. Her counter, she does have the devout counter, which is going to be 20% chance to heal herself, which is okay. It's not the best. I would almost rather see damage distribution, just because you're going to damage the opponent, but also that has a limited 2 range, right? Range height 3, whereas regurgitation happens no matter what if you're hit. So even if you're hit from, you know, outside of the quote unquote range, you'll still have a chance to proc this. So you may set either one of these depending on how you want to utilize her. It was interesting going through her kit here because, you know, I seem to, like, I really thought the Devout had access to more healing abilities than they actually do. There's actually only a few healing abilities that they have. They have Cure, which you're most likely going to be turning off. Outside of Cure, in their primary kit, the only healing ability that they have is the Law of Healing, which is really surprising to me. It's going to be a 210x heal for a single ally. It's going to give agility 25% for that ally. It's going to give attack 40%, magic 40%. And interestingly, there's no AoE heal in her primary kit. Now, she does have, of course, access to Subcalculator. She does have access to her Limit Break, which does heal. But it really just kind of highlights a little bit for me, you know, in this kit, you know, where it's lacking just a little bit. Her kind of other abilities she's going to be using, the Teaching of Lightning is going to increase lightning attack 30. For ally, it's going to give debuff resistance 30 for the ally, single hit resistance 25 for your ally, and then it'll give, I keep wanting to call her Minwoo, it's going to give Resnick herself 300 cast time speed. Pretty important since there's no cast time speed reduction anywhere else in her kit, so you'll definitely want to get the Teaching of Lightning off. She has Teaching of Protective Clothing, which is an AoE, which I would argue you may turn off because it just gives defense and spirit. In the world that we're living in, there's so many units with defense penetration and spirit penetration. It may be good. It may be good to get her healing power up or to get defense and spirit on allies, but you're probably going to be turning this off so she uses one of her other abilities to kind of support your units in a different way. Of course, then we have the Law of Healing, which we talked about. Sleep Explosion, so this is the exact same as Minwoo. So she's literally almost lightning Minwoo here. This is a cross-shaped attack, 25% chance to land sleep, 220% modifier. In terms of, attack abilities, this is going to be really powerful for her. Good ability, she's going to use this. Big drawback is she only has 3 uses on it, so that will, if you're in a PvE situation, you want to monitor that, because that's going to be really her only offensive option. Unless you maybe sub her calculator, which I think most people will be subbing her calculator. But again, in her main kit, that'll be her only offensive option. One thing I really do like is her job level 25 ability, Law of the Hidden Shield. And it puts a barrier on an ally, which gives 50% reduction for 3 times on physical damage taken. It also decreases the chance of being targeted 6 for self. I am curious what her AI will prioritize, if she will actually use Law of the Hidden Shield, or if she will go straight to the teachings of Thunderbolt or the teachings of Lightning. It'll be interesting to see how her auto AI functions, because you do want this Law of the Hidden Shield to be cast on your units, and this could be a way to make units who don't necessarily have access to barrier abilities a little bit more tanky. A great example would be Cloud. If you are maybe wanting to run like, Resnick, Cloud, and Esther. Esther herself does have a barrier ability that she uses. She also buffs area of effect resistance with that, which also works really good with Resnick. So maybe you will see a little bit of Cloud, Resnick, and Esther, but I'm not sure this is going to give Cloud the survivability he'll need. It's just one of those things where I could see it happening. I don't know if that's going to really affect things very much until Lightning or Thunder God Sid come out. But it's definitely an ability not to be underestimated. And if there's one thing I've learned, over the last couple of weeks, is that barrier power is very powerful, especially with Esther. Having access to physical barrier is a nightmare for your opponents, especially with having access to AoE resist, because I'm not sure what's happened, but it seems like we've lost a lot of units in PvP that have access to barrier break, or those abilities are getting turned off. So you may be paying more attention to whether or not barriers are on units here in the near future, especially with Resnick. The other sub abilities for her Devout job, she does get a buff that gives AoE resistance 20 for self, and slash resistance 20 for self. Again, this is going to be buffing up her AoE resistance, which, I mean, if she does use this, she's going to have, over 50-60% AoE resistance if you are building your team that way, which is really powerful. Of course, the big drawback here, it's not going to buff allies, and you're probably, you do get access to Cura this way, which is like her only AoE heal besides her LB, unless you sub Calculator. But I think most of the time you're going to be subbing Calculator, and sub Calculator is interesting for a couple of reasons. Usually sub Calculator for healing is not the best, because sub Calculator is not going to have the high healing potential that, say, a White Mage has or another unit. Cocoa Puff? Give him the stare. He's trying to nest on his bed right now, where you're like, da, 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 da. But with all of the healing power up that Resnick has access to, I do think you could sub Calculator and just heal your entire party with Calculator healing, which would be interesting. It would also give her access to significantly more offensive Thunder abilities. So I definitely don't think Resnick is to be counted out with sub Calculator. A lot of people talk about her sub Thief and how she has Steel Heart and how that's a reason. She has Steel Heart, Steel Time. That's good. She's a great unit. Her limit burst is going to increase. It's going to heal your allies pretty much to full. A 310 modifier heal is literally, like, I think that's the highest heal modifier we actually have in the game. So she has the highest heal modifier in the game. It's also going to have attack 40% for allies, magic 40% for allies, and dispel all debuffs for allies. Very good. It's huge range. It has it's cost 69 AP, but it's range height 2, AoE height 1, and it can be targeted and casted. So it's like Ayaka's limit break, where it just could be a complete game changer, right? Where you imagine your units run forward, the enemies hit them once, right? And they debuff them in whatever way it is, and then she moves forward and takes those debuffs off and heals those units. It could be very powerful. Overall, do I think Resnick is a unit that is required, that you should chase, that you should pursue right now? I think Resnick is a unit you'll probably naturally get over the course of pulling for limited units that are probably going to come out in the near future. I think if you pulled her now, you could make her viable in a lightning composition, particularly if you had Esther. Maybe if you had Cloud. Again, I feel like she's going to be a unit that's better when we get more lightning brawlers, particularly like, you know, Lightning and maybe Sid. Ibarra could maybe be classified as a lightning brawler, but then the question is, do we have enough lightning VCs to really make that work? And then is Esther actually getting a good bonus, you know, with all of the magic units in the party? There's just, you know, PvP wise, there's a lot of, you know, synergy, but also non-synergy going on. And then for PvE wise, I actually would recommend Resnick if you don't have a healer in your composition. That's probably the only reason why. She doesn't have anything in her kit for PvE that would like make you want to use her. She doesn't lower lightning resistance, she doesn't lower defense, doesn't lower spirit, doesn't lower slash resistance. You know, she doesn't do any of those things. Her sole job is healing and support. And if you're wanting a more viable like PvE support lightning unit, Renan is actually going to be a little bit more up your alley. Even, you know, potentially Ibarra can easily be modified and put in, or, you know, there's better options, I think, for PvE content. I think Resnick will be really good when you need a healer in like a universal composition, very similar to Minwu, when you need a healer in a lightning composition that is solely a healer when we have multiple lightning brawlers in the future. It'll just be interesting to see. So anyway, everybody, this was a bit of a different video for reviewing a unit. I hope you guys liked this style. It was very chill, laid back. And I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day.